welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money. My name is Michelle Graves, and I am your host on this absolutely dynamic show about money. I'm delighted to be in your homes or wherever you're viewing me today. And again, we've got a great show. So you want to sit down or make a copy and pass it on to your friends, however you want to do it. But let me set the stage for what I'm going to be talking to you about today. The vast majority of people today, viewers, are confused and troubled about the economy. It goes without saying. 50 million people are out of work. Despite what unemployment numbers may say, 50 million people, that's minimum, are out of work, not going to get rehired, not going to be able to secure decent employment to be able to take care of their families. For those of us that are still working, we are bombarded by the media. We're bullied by salespeople. We are bewildered by a million things that we need to know in order to survive this financial jungle. My commitment to you is to bring you information and create the basis for you to have the knowledge to make wise decisions for your families. I do not believe, in 36 years of working in this industry, I do not believe that people drown because they want to drown. I believe they drown because they never learned how to swim. And if you do not know how to swim during today's times, you're going to have a tough way. Over the past 5 years, we have seen our investments wither away. Despite the stock market showing a very generous rebounding, over 13,000, excuse me, we're still dealing with the major ruin in 401k plans, 403bs, and other tax-qualified plans. It's going to be a long, hard road for those of us who are in the baby boomer years, over 60, to recover. It just is. We are also looking at rates of return that are under 5%. We don't want to get into what U.S. Treasuries are paying or what your local CDs, certificates of deposit, are paying at your banks. Pathetic. You can't live on a 5% return on your money when inflation is heading through the door. Why do I say that? Because gasoline is doing what it's doing. Food prices are doing what they're doing. All these things are contributing to inflation, and we have not yet even begun. So, here we are with 90 million people now faced with making crucial decisions. My commitment is to shed light on the darkness, to bring you into the light of awareness and understanding so that you can begin to order your steps responsibly, so that you can learn how to swim in troubled waters and during troubled times. And despite the beautiful weather we're experiencing right now, make no doubt about it, we are in troubling times. Despite Apple selling at $600 a share and paying out dividends to its stockholders, that will have very little to do with your quality of life. So today, I'm going to be talking about a number of things, so you want to kind of stay with me because I'm going to be talking about what to do if you think you're going to lose your job, because that's a reality facing so many people today. How do I prepare for the job loss? What do I need to do now to make sure my house is in order? That's the first thing I'm going to talk about. The second thing I'm going to talk about is what to do if you've lost your job and you'd like to start your own business. Because with so many people losing jobs today, many people are now looking afresh at, should I start my own business and do my passion? So we're going to talk about that. And the final thing we're going to talk about are all kinds of tips from Miss Frugality. That's me. I'm not willing to say I'm cheap, but I am willing to say that I really do squeeze a penny hard. And I'm going to be sharing with you some of the tips that I've gathered and some other little financial tidbits that many of you might be concerned about. So let us start with the first thing I'm going to talk about today is what you need to do if you think you're going to be let go. And make no doubt about it, in corporate America, while profits are doing great, the concern is cut, 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 tight, 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 tight. We don't have to talk about American Airlines. That's going down its road. We don't have to talk about the U.S. Postal Service. You already know that there are going to be literally thousands of people that are going to be permanently let go, never to return to work. We don't need to talk about other sectors of the economy as they continue to streamline with efficiency, with all kinds of things that are allowing them to increase profit margins, because you know what? If they're able to bring technology into the workplace and cut the time it takes to do a job and not have any of the overhead, including wages and salaries, as well as the liabilities from pensions, as well as health care. A machine doesn't need a doctor. It breaks down and you replace the part, or ultimately you replace the machine. So we're going to be seeing more and more of this high technology. In fact, I heard today where Amazon is replacing a lot of their stockers. And Amazon is an internet site that you can buy all kinds of goods and commodities. But they have just, they're now using robots to literally load everything. And the reason they say they're using these robots is because robots are faster, they don't complain about the workload, and they don't waste time. So I'm giving you this insight because I do not believe corporations are ever going to return to the good old days of you sitting by the water fountain or by the coffee pot and having chit-chat times. I think that the focus is going to be in the manufacturing component toward greater and greater efficiencies, and they're going to be letting more and more people go permanently. Now, having said that, what happens if it happens to you? And what do you need to do? Well, the first thing I tell everybody, and I'm not making an exception to those of you that are viewing today, everybody needs to look at their jobs right now as at risk, because again, the mandate of a company is to minimize their overhead and their operating expenses. And humans do cost a lot of money. And since we are in a capitalist society, they're going to be trying to figure out how to get rid of your job and how to make do with much less so that they can eke out greater profits. Because truthfully, viewers, right now corporations are enjoying amazing profits, but it's been done at the expense of the working population. So my admonishment to you today, and take out your pencil because you really want to write this down. The first thing you want to do is you want to look at what do you have in the bank right now that will tide you through for at least 12 months. And that has nothing to do with unemployment. You will get unemployment if you have lost your job through no fault of your own. But that's not really the issue. The issue is unemployment is not a lot of money. Don't think for a minute that you're going to get rich on unemployment. You're not. It's enough to kind of like a safety net, in addition to which you will find it very difficult to live on. So again, I encourage everyone, your focus right now for everyone is to have at least 12 months in some form of savings, either checking or a regular savings account, whether it's at your bank or whether it's at your credit union. But you make sure you have 12 months. Now, that's going to require a lot of people to refocus how they're handling their money, because many of us do not have savings. And that is a problem. If we're to believe the statistics, Americans are not savers. They're still spending. But I'm saying to you, the worst thing in the world is to find yourself out of work with a brand new car. Because if you cannot make car payments and you cannot secure another job, you will be losing your car. And that's a fact. So I prefer for you to stay with the little humdinger you're running around with and concentrate on saving money and building up a nest egg for potential unemployment. If you're never unemployed, it's not a problem. You still have 12 months in what we call an emergency reserve. Things do happen, and it's nice to know that that money has been on a disciplined way that you put aside what's the equivalent of 12 months of salary. Now, if you're married, typically both people are not out of work. However, It is a fact that we're seeing more and more two-family, husband, wives, that are losing their jobs as well. And so, again, I say the rule of thumb is 12 months in reserves. So if you are making, if you are on a job where you're making combined income of $50,000, I would like for you to aggressively begin saving that money. You say, well, Michelle, I'm in debt, I'm this, I'm that. And I will say to you that pay minimum payments on your credit cards. Because the truth of the matter is that if you lose your job, it's not going to matter anyway. You're not going to have the money to be able to pay your credit cards and to keep your rating. But at least you want to have enough money so that you can maintain. And since the average length of unemployment is now running over 2 years, can you believe that? It's taking people 2 and 3 years to find a job. Then the challenge is going to be you're going to need to have something to keep from losing everything. Bills don't stop coming in because you're not working. You now have to deal with the fact that I still got my house mortgage and I got to pay that. And I still got gas and electric because the energy company is not sympathetic to your economic woes. You still got to pay your water and your sewer. Now, if you rent and you're in an apartment, they may not be as intense, but nonetheless, most people do have those added expenses. Plus, and like it or not, you probably have a telephone. You probably have a car that you're buying. You probably have to pay car insurance. You probably have to pay for other things, particularly if you have children. Life goes on, bills go on. So I'm emphasizing about this nest egg because that is my recommendation, that it should be at least 12 months and it should be in a secured venue that you don't have to be worried about. So whatever comes down the pike, you know as a family that you're going to be all right, at least for a little bit, at least for a little bit. And it will give you the stability that you need to get things going. And yes, I am serious. Minimum payment on a credit card will have to do until you have accumulated your nest egg. Because again, if you lose your job, credit card is not going to be the key thing for anyone. So that's important. The second thing is that you want to check with human resources. You have a human resources department in your company, and you want to see what your benefit package looks like if you lose your job. Sometimes companies will give you X number of weeks of severance pay. And again, you need to know if that severance pay is taxable or non-taxable. You need to know if you've got a 401k plan, what you need to do if you need to take it out. And you would definitely want to take it out. To be very candid with you, and this sounds terrible with me saying this to you as a financial advisor, but most people, when they lose their jobs, they do exhaust their 401k plan. They may go out of the company feeling like, well, you know, my retirement plan for when I retire, I'm not going to touch the money. But I'm here to tell you that when you've got bills coming and you've got pressure on you and you've got family needs, you're going to hit that 401k plan. Now, let me just let you know right up front that you're going to pay, in most cases, a penalty, an early withdrawal penalty, unless you can prove that it's hardship and unemployment may meet the test. And the other thing is that it becomes taxable income. So, and the IRS could care less because you're going to pay taxes. So those are two things to consider with your 401k. But again, if that is money that you're going to need to live on, then you need to do what you need to do, as I tell people. I'm not a person that believes in pie in the sky. The reality is that when you are experiencing a job loss, everything kind of spins and you don't really know what you have to do. So I'm trying to give you some steps and some concepts that will help you if you are losing your job or you have a sense you will lose your job, or if you just want to be prepared, because there's nothing wrong with being prepared, ever. So that's the second thing. Check with HR to find out if you will be able to carry your insurance, if you pay for it, if they will let you pay for it under their group plan. Premiums are much lower on a company-sponsored insurance plan than when you go out on your own. And many people find themselves out of work and not even able to get any kind of insurance, including life insurance, including health insurance. This is what all this federal Obamacare thing was about. Because truth of the matter is, there are 50 million people without insurance, health insurance. Why do I know that? Because COBRA is extremely expensive, and your companies will offer you the opportunity to continue paying health premiums under COBRA, which means you're separated, but you can pay. But the premiums are prohibitive, and very few people are able to carry COBRA health insurance. So they drop it because they have other bills to pay, and they wind up having no insurance and out here in the market with nothing. Let me share something with you, and this is about keeping everything real and keeping it very truthful, and that is that you can, if you are indigent, meaning you have no money, you can make application for Medicaid, okay? Medicaid is a health insurance plan for people that have no money, okay, known as indigent. Before you say, oh, I can't believe you're telling me, the next thing you're going to tell me is that I should apply for food stamps. Yes, you should. You certainly paid for it. So why not apply for food stamps? You have no money. You have no resources. Now, this is for people that have not met their emergency reserve. If you didn't save any money, if you don't have any money, then you've got to feed your family. And again, the federal food stamp program is a reasonable alternative for most people that are out of work, because you will find that children are not really sympathetic to your unemployment when they're hungry. So again, if you don't have savings, anticipate these things. You're going to have to get some kind of health coverage. Depending upon your location, you can go on and get qualified through many programs right now for hospitalization under Medicaid, and also for food under food stamps. So again, let's just not get into a conversation about, I cannot believe this woman, the money lady, is telling me to do this. Well, you know what? The money lady is not stupid. And that is that my commitment is to give you the information that will enable you to make sound decisions so that you can survive. Okay? I'm positive that the 50 million people that are out of work today, 20% of the American population, and the number is growing as companies continue to just let go people and tighten up their operating expenses. This is a reality. I want you to be prepared. So you start with your HR. You start with finding out what benefits you get, what benefits you don't get. Don't go into HR, please, Human Resources, and tell them, I'm just positive that you all are going to get rid of me. Because you know what? They just may. But you do want to ask them, what are the benefits that are available to me now? Should I get laid off, or should I retire? And that's very important, because these are things that you want to know now, okay? If that happens. The other thing you want to look at, and this is very important, is you want to create a resume right now. Right now. Create a resume which shows your employment history, shows your skill sets, and you know what? You're doing the resume for yourself, because you really do want to know, before you go into the market looking for a job, what your skills are. And the worst time to find out whether you are out of touch is when you are literally out of work. So you want to look at what all the courses you've taken, what kinds of skill enhancements you've got under your belt. Have you gotten advanced degrees? Have you gotten additional credentialing? What things do you have going for you that will enable you to secure other employment? And on the subject of other employment, let me say something to you right now, and this is very important. Most employers hire people through their existing workforce, meaning if a person is already on the job and they recommend somebody in, those people get hired before people that come in by way of internet, which is Monster and all the other .coms that are available out here today. So if you are networked in, then you might want to begin to make inquiries as to what that company is doing. What kind of skill sets are they looking for? And just let people know carefully. You don't want to tell your boss's friend that you're looking, okay? But you do want to make sure your networks are tight and in place so that if that pink slip comes, you can make the transition very, very seamlessly. I did not say without some level of pain, because nobody likes to be pink slipped. But the truth of the matter is, most of us will either be pink slipped or we will quit. And we know this because the Generation Xers, those are the kids that are under 30, and the millennials and all those other categories, they don't care about job security anyway. They will quit at the drop of a hat. They just say, I don't like it anymore, and just quit. But for those of us that are in older generations, we do believe in some level of stability. We don't think it's honorable to quit. Although, as I tell folks, please, you really do need to know that they do not have a problem letting you go if they can squeak out additional profits. So you want to keep those networks alive and in place. It might be through your community organizations, it might be church related, it might be in your social groups, sports, exercise, all those things. You want to be cordial, and you want to be network savvy. And that is that to let people know what you do, who you are, and you never do know. People do make the world go round. And the more people you know, the better off your chances of being able to transit into another employment position. I didn't say it was guaranteed, but I did say that the chances were better than if you know nobody. And that's just the truth. I just have to say it the way I see it. So you consider your networking as a job opportunity situation that you want to take advantage of. The other thing is, as I said, in doing your resume, is not only look at what your skills you have, but the skills that you do not have. Because today, more than ever, so many workers have been outmaneuvered. They don't have the skill sets that are necessary for this rapid, high-growth environment we're in. There are many jobs that are not being filled today because employers bemoan the fact that people are not skill set ready. They don't have the skills, they don't have the mindset to be able to do these jobs. Many of these jobs require technical abilities, the ability to use computers, to understand robotics and how manufacturing works, the ability to have all kinds of computer skills. A computer is not a foreign object. A computer is a necessity in today's workplace. And most employers, no matter what level, whether you're a receptionist or middle management or senior level executive, expect everybody to know how to do Excel, to know how to do PowerPoint, to know how to link into Skype, to know how to leverage the resident programs that are on the computer. That's not special skills. That is mandatory for today. So if you don't have those skill sets and you do have a computer, then go into Google and find the different softwares and programs. Many of this information is free. You can get it online, or consider your local library, because they have many of these self-study programs that is just as simple as you checking out the information and then learning it. Become good at it. What you don't understand, just keep practicing until you master it. But all companies today expect their employees to have what I call a skill set around computers. They do expect you to know how to do documents, how to PowerPoint, how to Excel, how to do a variety of things. And they expect that because that's the environment that we're in today. And do recognize that we're fast approaching a day where computers are going to do that. And that's going to be another human job that's gone the wayside. So I want you to develop those skills for the computer. And I don't really care how old you are, it's just a necessity. And make up your mind that you want to do it. While we're talking about adjusting your skill set and you're looking at your resume and what skills you should have but you don't have, one of the things I encourage everyone that is listening is now more than ever, you are going to need to consider retraining. And depending upon the terms of your unemployment, you may be able to get subsidy money, federal money that will pay for you to go to school, to upgrade your skills so that you can develop the necessary skill sets to secure a better job. Again, so much has changed, and so much has changed so rapidly. I mean rapidly, that again, for most workers, including those 50 million, it's going to be about retraining. And they say, well, I'm retraining, but what if I don't get a job? Well, I'm going to tell you this. If you don't retrain, if you do not adapt, then the probability of you ever getting employment is very, very, very slim. And that's not what I'm about. I'm about you entering into the workforce powerfully, confident, competent, well-trained, and if you choose to be an employee, an excellent employee for someone. That's the game. So I'm giving you essentially the basics of what you need to do in terms of preparing for a job loss. One other thing, and I want to say this, all parts of the United States are not experiencing the economy equally. There are pockets in the United States where you can get employment quickly with all kinds of job skills. Texas is one example. Texas is in a boom place. It's an oil state. Same thing with Oklahoma. Again, I've encountered this in talking to people. I don't want to relocate. I don't want to go to Texas. I don't want to go here. I don't want to go. Colorado is doing fine. They're experiencing some tremendous growth in most sectors of their economy. Again, this is one state. You can go to Google and you can find out which states and which cities are experiencing tremendous employment opportunities. This is all internet. You say, I don't have a computer. Go to the public library, okay, and get that information. And then sit down with your family and lay out a plan. It may mean you have to relocate, and your wife or your spouse stays with the children and keeps things going while you relocate. How can I find a place to stay? Well, you know what? You find a place to stay like everybody else that goes to a strange city. You pull up Craigslist, or you look in the classifieds in those cities, and you find a place that you can rent, a room in someone's home, until you can get yourself stabilized. You do job interviewing by internet. You do job interviewing by telephone, and to see if it's a fit. But many of us are going to be challenged in the days ahead to make those kinds of moves, because nobody likes change, particularly when it is imposed upon us, meaning I have to do this move because I have to do a job. Well, I got news for you, viewers. Many people move all the time, all over the country, and truthfully, all over the world. One of the most amazing things that I found in Africa were the number of people that lived in Africa from other parts of the world, actually lived there, relocated there because of job situations. Same thing in Asia. The number of people that are from other countries that are living good lives in other countries. And again, it's a challenge if you've never done it. But I share with people we're in the middle of a paradigm shift, which is the model has shifted. The things that you took for granted 10 years ago, 20 years ago, are no longer in place. Our young people are going everywhere. I mean, they travel everywhere. They travel with their companies. They travel with their buds. They travel, they travel, they travel. You have to be willing now to begin to make those changes. On the subject of making changes, the country called the United States of America is bilingual. Bilingual. Did you hear me? Everybody speaks English, and a bunch of people speak Spanish. Why? Because the Latina population is the fastest growing population in the United States, and they speak Spanish, whether they're from Mexico or whether they're from other parts of South America, or wherever they're relocating from. That is their language, Spanish. So in certain parts of the United States, if you speak Spanish, then you will find that your employability is better, particularly if you're planning on relocating to Florida, because Florida, and I love Florida, Florida is strictly bilingual. And depending upon where you live, it's Spanish, so you don't know anything. But I'm sharing with you that if you will invest the time and broaden your horizons, think bigger, think bigger, and take a class or check out a tutorial from the library and learn how to speak Spanish and master it, simply master it, so that you speak Spanish audibly, clearly, and even read Spanish. And now you can put that on your resume, which is that you are bilingual and that you have these skill sets from your advanced training and you are bilingual. So I'm sharing that because these are all challenges. When people tell me, oh, I don't have a job, my position is, well, you need to be doing some things so that you can begin to make the necessary changes in your life so as not to find yourself completely in a heap with just no one wants to hire you, nobody's interested in helping you. You have got to begin to learn how to help yourself. And I know that's easier said than done because we're now in a time where so much is changing, and sometimes you feel like you're on a conveyor belt. At least I know I do. Things are moving so rapidly, it's like I don't have enough time in the day. But I'm trying to get through some things, and I'm trying to grow, and every day I'm trying to learn something I did not learn before. So I admonish you to do that, okay? And if we've got that under your belt, that's for those of you that are going to stay in the workplace. You now know you need to network. You know you need to upgrade your skills after you've done your resume for yourself. You know you need to learn at least another language, preferably two, because again, believe it or not, Chinese Mandarin is real big now, and Japanese is as well. Why? Because these are countries that are increasingly showing their presence in the United States, and you become eminently more marketable if you have those skills. But minimally, make a decision to learn Spanish. That's just minimally. Okay, do that for me. So I'm going to shift now, and we've done that, and I'm going to shift now to I've lost my job. It's done, and I want to start a business. I've always wanted to do this. I want to start a business, Michelle. So what should I do? Well, the first thing I'm going to say to you is if you've lost your job, to avoid the poor me syndrome. You didn't like the job anyway. If the truth be said, you're actually kind of glad they got rid of you. You didn't like it, so now the door presents itself. So again, if you're not planning on looking for another job, and you're planning to start your business, the first thing I'm going to say to you is that a business is going to cost you more in time and effort and financial resources than most of your children. And the reason I say that is because a business is like a baby. You can birth it, but that's just the beginning of the story. So the first thing you need to look at if you're talking about a business, and I hope you are not just playing about a business, because the Internal Revenue Service has something called a hobby, which is you never make any money, and after X number of years, you can't take those write-offs because they consider you in the business of a hobby. And I say the same thing. If you're going to seriously do business, then let's play ball and let me talk to you about a business. I am blessed and proud to say that I started my business in 1980. Can you believe that? In 1980. And it's now 2012. And since my first business, I've had other businesses. Some businesses have been like, boom, I'm not doing it. And I have enjoyed an incredibly rich life as a business owner. I've owned big companies, I've consulted, and now I'm in private practice. And I'm overseas with this Shea Butter initiative with these women. So I guess I'll never stop doing business because that's what I love. I am truthful enough with myself to know that I don't do well following other people's orders. I like for everybody to tell me what to do, which is exactly what happens when you're in business. You transfer from one person telling you what to do every day, known as your job description, to the public, which is the people that keep me fed and keep the bills paid. So the first challenge I'm going to say to all of you that want to be in business is, what business do you want to be in? It's a very open question. It's not enough for you to say, I want to be in business, but what business do you want to be in? And once you've defined the business that you want to be in, the second question I'm going to ask you is, how much money have you put aside for this business? And that's a very important question because bankers ask it every day when people come in and want to borrow money. You know, which is, how much money is your business going to take? Well, I don't know. Well, you need to research that. You can go to the public library. You can go on internet. You can talk to the Small Business Administration has a division for retired executives called SCORE. These are freebies where you can begin to have the conversation about, do I have what it takes to be a business owner? Or am I a hobbyist? Which is, I'm going to do this for a minute, but I really need to get a job. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Don't be a hobbyist. Not today. If you do not feel you have what it's going to take to cross you over to the finish line, then be about the business of securing employment and make that your primary agenda. That will take enough of your energy without talking about going into business. But again, finding out what kind of business you want to go into, doing the necessary, what I call an environmental assessment before you do this business, which is, how much money do I need? What's the future of this particular industry? Do I need to look carefully at what is going to be required of me? Do I need to be a one-person shop? Do I need to be involved in network marketing where somebody else is taking the risk and all I have to do is sell product and build my own sales force? Or do I need to be a small business owner with 1 or 2 employees, or just maybe yourself? It depends upon your personality. But I will say one thing, and this is very important, and I say it to business people all the time when I do seminars: do not go into business if you don't like people. Duh! That sounds intuitive, but it's amazing. The things you got by in the corporate world, I mean, you could be a little rat, and people would say they're just a little rat and I got to deal with them. But when you have to depend upon people to feed you and to cover your expenses, and you are the prime person in charge, and you don't like people, well, you're going to have a tough road. In fact, you're going to find yourself soon out of business, because it's about liking people that enables you to talk about what you offer to the public. Because as business owners, you're offering something to the public, so you've traded your boss for the entire world. Now, I love people. People make me happy. I love them. I love talking to them. I like listening to their stories. I like hearing about their children. I like looking at pictures of their dogs, their cats, their other animals. I love people. I'm a saleswoman. I like talking to people about something that can improve their lives. That's what salespeople do. And if you're in business, you are immediately a salesperson. Ever try buying something from somebody that was grumpy? Even if it worked, you didn't want to talk to them because they were grumpy, or you didn't like how they talked to you or how they looked at you. That's a person that did not like people. And that person probably needs to find a job or do something that does not involve people. Now, you can say things such as, well, you know, I can sell my product on television, Well, again, you got to like people, because to do television, you have to work with people to put your product on television. You've got to work with the station. You've got to work with producers. You've got to work with script writers. You've got to work with all these people. And if you are a jerk, guess what? Nobody's going to give you good product. Nobody's going to be in your corner. Nobody's really going to be there to help you. And let me tell you, in the world of business, you do need people to help you. You do. You need people that are willing to give their time, give their energy, give their resources. You need people that believe in you, support you, endorse you, and want to tell other people about what you've got or about you. Because one of the things I've taught over the years is that when you are selling something, people are looking at you. They're not looking at your product. They hear about your product, but they're looking at you. So you want to make sure that you're always conveying integrity, because they pick that up like a sonar. Bzzz. Are you displaying honesty? Nobody likes to feel like they've gotten ripped off. Nobody. That's a horrible feeling. And they will tell everybody, okay, starting with your local church. They will tell everybody about you. People want to be treated very, very well. So if you are going to be self-employed, doing your own business, that's very important to me, which is, do you like people? Because I'm telling you, there are a lot of people out here that don't like people. And I'm like, you know what? You need to go into the field of IT or something where you're not interfacing with people, or the people you're interfacing with don't like people either. So you all can sit around and not like people. But the majority of us are going to have to interface at some point with people if you are self-employed. So that is very, very important, and that is key. And be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. When you go into gatherings, are people attracted to you? Or do you know how to extend yourself in friendliness and kindness? Are you a person that likes to be by yourself and sit by yourself? Well, again, that is not an attribute that I would say is going to do well for you in the business world, because you do have to interface with all kinds of people in the course of a day, and those people are going to bring you resources and money by buying your products, by using your services, okay? One of the things in corporate is that they put a tremendous value on intellect and how smart you are in many cases in middle management, executive level. And you find out in the business world, called self-employed, people are not so interested in how smart you are, but they are interested in how likable you are. They'll get around to how smart you are later, but they're not going to buy a product from you because you're smart or because the product works just great. Again, they're going to be moved by who you are. And so I tell people it's like going through a field of flowers. You get to pick from all kinds of people and personalities, and you get to enjoy them. And hopefully, at the end of the day, they will engage you in some form of business. And that's really what America is about. That is how businesses started. That's how they grow. Whether you're dealing with the local barbershop, who wants to cut hair, go to a barber who doesn't like people? I mean, you think about that. Trying to get your hair cut. Or who wants to go to a hair designer who doesn't like hair? And she's just doing it for a living, and you're the next customer. Yeah, there are actually people out here that are doing that, and then they complain because their businesses are not growing. And I'm like, you know, you need to do something else for a living, because you make people feel a little bit nervous, all right? Even though our hair will grow back, it's just kind of like one of those experiences that you really don't want to have. So I hope I haven't just completely bored you with this, but this is so important, because I look at people open up shops every single day, and a year later they're closed. I look at people present phenomenal restaurant ideas, which is, I can do this, and yet they don't like people. And I tell them, it would be better if you tried to sell the recipe to somebody and let them do it, because you do not like people. The third thing that you want to think about in business is, well, actually the second thing is, where's your money? You cannot start a business with no money. An idea does not start a business. An idea is an idea. So the question is, how much money do you have saved for your business? And I tell people a rule of thumb, and you can go to Google, you can go to any kind of small business website. They can assist you in terms of what your capital is known as money, what your capital requirements will be. If you're doing network marketing, which is probably the most affordable way to do business, then you may just have to pay an entry fee and then build your organization. But let me share something with you about network marketing, and I have to. If you're not able to build your organization with people that like selling, then your organization will flounder. Network marketing is not a social do-good organization. Network marketing is a business model that the founders of that company embraced as a way to grow their business quickly, because everybody knows the more salespeople you have out there selling a product, the more money you can make. So it's important, since you didn't start the company, but now you're a salesperson for the company. And I don't care if they say it's your own business. The reality is, from their perspective, you're a salesperson, and they need you to sell, and they need you to put the word out, and they need you to make revenue, and they pay you, as they should. But make no doubt about it, network marketing will not make you rich. It's a hard task. The majority of people that go into network marketing do not do well, because you really do have to sell. Now, there are some people that have become very, very rich on network marketing, and therefore I will never speak ill of it. I know too many of them that have done well. But I would say that many, many people do not do well because they have false expectations and hopes about selling, because you are selling. You're selling a product, you're selling a service, you're selling something. And at the end of the day, you have to make money. I said the word money. Yeah, I did. I said money, because you have to make money to be successful. And you have to have the necessary capital to allow your business to grow. Now, you say, well, I don't want to do network marketing, I don't like network marketing, then you really do have to sit down and lay out a plan. Now, some of you may start small and with an idea or a product, and you may see, as you sell, your revenues grow, your customer base improve, and you may start in your home. Many businesses have started in humble beginnings in their home, but at some point you're going to have to come out of your home and go into a legitimate business entity, location, to run your business. And you're going to have to do that when you have the necessary sales volume and the necessary resources to subsidize that type of a move. You've got to be prepared to hire people. You've got to be prepared to set up all kinds of screening models, or subcontract out with staffing agencies who can pre-screen for you and bring you good people. But even having done all that, viewers, and I say this because at one point in my career, I was firing so many people. My children were like, go to work with mom and she's going to fire somebody else. And it wasn't that I wanted to fire them, but it was because I did not know how to hire properly. And I was too cheap, and I'll say it, I was too cheap to pay someone, an HR company, to do the screening and hiring for me. That, viewers, I will never do again. You let the big boys, the professionals, hire and select your people, and you pay them a commission. That's a part of being in business, knowing what you do well and doing that. The other thing in business is that you must deal with the reality of taxes, because businesses actually are undergirding this country in the area of taxes. We pay taxes on everything. Our employees, payroll, on and on and on. So again, if you're looking to do business, then recognize that every day that you're in business, you start out on zero. 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 And by the end of the day, you better have something in your balance sheet that shows positive. You better have some money in your bank account, or else you have wasted your day. That is so matter of fact. But I admire people in business. I admire people who have successfully grown in business. I admire people that have expanded their businesses and are now all over the place doing business. I have had the pleasure of knowing people that started out with very little. I remember when I was interning in New York City, and Earl Graves, who was just starting out his black enterprise, and he was hawking his papers, and he'd come to the company I was with, and they'd say, "Oh man, here he comes." What you're doing, you actually are making a little money, and you're starting to see your dreams become fulfilled, then you have the freedom while everybody else is working. You have the freedom to take your vacations in the wintertime, to go to other countries, and to take those opportunities. You have those things. So I am a fan of business, and I love business. And viewers, I have to confess, we are just about out of time. There are 2 segments that I wanted to cover today that I'm not going to be able to cover today. And I'm sorry, but you'll just have to stay tuned for another segment, because I am going to be talking about lots of thrifty ideas that I have that allowed me to prosper in the midst of this famine. And I'm going to share those with you so that you can begin to take care of those things as well. For example, and I know this sounds really, really odd, but you can ask your doctor to write out a double prescript and for double dose, and then since he only wants half, and cut the pill in half. Yeah, right. So you can get double for less and be able to survive. That's just one of the little tips I was going to give you. But again, we've covered 2 things. We've talked about what to do in survival mode if you think you're going to lose your job. And then I've talked to you about what you need to do if you're going to want to go in business or start a business. I am going to have on my show in the future specialists. I'm going to have the SBA come on. I'm going to have some people that specialize in startup businesses so that you can begin to understand. And remember, it doesn't have to be that complicated to start. Just get very good at what you're good at. Look at your competition. Look at why is one person buying this over here, and could you enter into that market? This is a freebie. Anytime you bring to the market something that's needed and nobody else is doing, you will make a fortune. Example, I saw on television where somebody has a lint catcher now, and you can use it on your animals, you can use it to get up lint balls on your furniture, and it's efficient and it's reusable, not tear sheets that you throw in the garbage. You can use it for your clothing. And it was so inexpensive that I'm going to order one. And then they give you another one as a bonus, because that's a great idea. And I'm sure you've looked on television and said, gosh, I wish I thought of that. But I'm here to tell you, whoever comes up with a great idea and the marketplace hasn't seen it yet, I'm going to tell you, go for it. Because it's the people that provide to the market a product or a service that is not available, that there is a need for. Those people are going to be our future millionaires and billionaires. It is a fact. And I welcome you into that club, because it's a small club, but nobody seems to be unhappy about new people coming in, because most people in business will tell you they had to work very hard and very long to become the successes that they are today. They've had to constantly keep in their hands and in their mind, what am I going to do to keep things going? How am I going to keep my bills paid? How am I going to watch my company? What new things do I need to anticipate? What is my competition looking like? How am I going to get through the day? And incidentally, we all pray a whole lot, because sometimes it's just God. You're like, I don't know how I did it. And a little small voice said, you didn't do it. I did it. So I'm going to put in that little 2 cents because good, what can I say? You know, many nights where I have prayed and worried about how I was going to meet payroll. And something happened. Something came through. So again, I want to just do this as my first entree into the world of business. And I'm your host, Michelle Graves. And again, as always, I'm delighted to be a part of your world. Hope you've enjoyed being a part of mine. And I look forward to seeing you next week in an upcoming segment where we'll be talking more about the power of money. And again, you be blessed. You take care. Have a great day.